Much, Nandi, for the sports update. Let's bring you this now. Many people assume all their assets will automatically be left to their dependents when they die. However, that's not always the case. Over 70% of working South Africans don't have a will, putting their financial dependents at risk. So for more on this, we're joined by personal finance columnist Maya Fisher-French. Maya, always a pleasure talking to you. Let's start here. The importance of having a will. What is that importance?
You know, you were talking about people just assuming that, the funds will go to who they think they'll go to. And without a will, there's a whole interstate law that takes over. It complicates the issue. It has to go to the master's court. People can contest it. It becomes very complicated. And for most people, they have two big assets. So one is their retirement fund and the other is their home. And their retirement fund is pretty much governed by the trustees of the retirement fund, who will look and say, who are your financial dependents, and the money will be allocated accordingly. But what about your home? And I think this is what a lot of people forget about. What happens to your house when you pass away? Who's going to live in it, especially if you have minor children? A minor child can't sign the transaction papers or the transfer deeds to put it into their name. So who's going to be looking after them? Who's going to take over those, take over the house? All of those things. And so I think parents especially need to think about what is it that is going to happen when I pass away. And I'm actually quite shocked that how many parents I come across who have not put a will in place.
Yeah. And so what advice would you then give to those parents about providing for their children should something happen to them?
I think it's very important. First of all, you must, in your will, you can stipulate a guardian. This is the person who's going to look after your children. And what do you want for your children? You can actually even specify how the funds must be used towards their education, towards their upkeep. Who is this person going to be? You can also form something called a testamentary trust in your will. This is a trust that comes into effect on your death, where your assets are housed, and this can actually be ring-fenced and protected for your children, so nobody else can spend it. Even the guardian can't go and just sort of plunder it. They would have to follow the rules of the testamentary trust, which would have a separate trustee. And another thing that a lot of parents also need to think about is if they have life cover, even through their company, for example, there may be life cover, or they've taken it out as their individuals. Be very careful leaving life cover directly in your children's names, again, if they're minor children, because that then goes into their bank account and effectively becomes under the control of the guardian. So if you're happy about that, that's fine. Otherwise, you may want it paid into the estate and part of that testamentary trust. So I really believe that as a parent, it's worth going and getting a little bit of advice. There's a lot of online tools, a lot of wills that you can do for, if not free, for 200 Rand that take you through a program and help you understand this. But I think it really is worth, if you're a parent, it's really worth even going and spending the money to speak to an attorney or somebody who can make sure that your will is there, so that if something happens to you, your children are really, really protected. I think that's something we can do for our children and for their legacy.
I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much, Maya, for reminding us of the importance of this conversation and also just implementing it. Maya Fisher-French, Maya on Money, thank you for your time.